Nothing can prepare someone for the pain of betrayal. Today you will see the story of a man who, with a seemingly perfect marriage, sees his entire life crumble before his eyes, betrayed by the woman he always loved, by his daughter, and also by the man he always considered a brother. But he will not simply accept this. He will take revenge. I've been following these stories for a while and thought that just reading people's stories would help me, or that if I found someone with a similar situation, I could see how that person dealt with it. But I think my situation is unique, so here we go. I don't mind if you want to criticize me after I vent, and this has already happened. I thought I was okay. I thought I had overcome it, but after last weekend, everything came back, and that anger I had back then returned with it. Full force. And even though I'm back home with my fiancé, this anger towards her just won't go away. I spent years managing my anger because of what she did, the situation that was created, and I thought I was okay. Now I just turned 39. I was 18 when I met my ex Marissol. Back then I was a gang member, the Latin Kings. I'd been a member since I was 13, and I was always getting into trouble. Marissol was a church girl. My grandmother dragged me to Sunday Mass. And when I saw her, it was love at first sight. I asked my cousin, who was her friend, to introduce us, but he refused. He didn't want me to get involved with her. He didn't want me to ruin her. Have you ever met someone you wanted to make yourself a better person with, to be with them? You wanted to be that man who would follow the right path? That was her. When I found out she went to church almost every day, I would stay near the steps talking to her, always accompanying her to church and bringing her back. She made me feel like I wasn't useless. One day led to another, we started dating, and I felt great for a year and a half. I distanced myself from gang life, got my high school diploma, became a regular churchgoer, and was thinking about the future when I was involuntarily dragged back. I was in a store and ran into someone I used to have problems with. They were talking trash to me, and I tried to ignore them. I swear I tried. I let them talk and walked away, but then I got stabbed in the shoulder with a blade and lost my temper. I hit him, I got arrested, and suddenly it seemed like the things I had done to improve my life had disappeared. Marissol was furious with me. My grandmother kept mentioning my past mistakes, and my cousin told me he knew I wasn't going to change. My public defender realized I was trying to improve and, by the grace of God, got me out after a month in jail. Despite being angry with me, Marissol visited me almost every day. A month after I got out, I found out I was going to be a father. I didn't want my son to have a dead father or one in jail. We ran away. I went to college to become a mechanic, and I worked hard for my future family. When Luna was born, it was almost the worst day of my life. Marissol wouldn't stop bleeding. She went into shock and had to have a double hysterectomy. She was in the hospital for months, and Luna became my world. I wanted her life to be the best. I wanted to give her the world. When Marissol was released, I promised her that our daughter would have a much better life than ours, and for years I kept that promise. I saved enough money for us to move to the suburbs. We became homeowners. I was a scout leader. Believe it or not, I made sure Luna attended a private school, ensuring she knew how to defend herself, and always making sure I was the perfect husband. I didn't know my parents. I didn't have a positive male role model in my life, so I didn't know what a healthy relationship was like. The parents on TV were my male role models, and I imitated them and their marriages on TV. As the years went by, I owned my own workshop. My cousin became a pastor. My grandmother was still a nuisance. My relationship with my wife was stronger than ever. I made sure to maintain my body. From prison, but Luna had hated me ever since she turned 13. She only started hating me when she didn't want me to hug her. She rolled her eyes whenever I said I loved her. She ignored me when I asked about her day at school. That hurt me, and Marissol saw it. She told me that she's a teenager and that I should just let it go, that she'll come back to me for 2 years. That's how it was. So, for her 15th birthday, I wanted to make it special, and I got everything. She wanted it, and she was still being disrespectful, and briefly the old me almost came out to put her in her place. But instead, I went to my cousin, vented my frustration and doubts about being a good father, and he told me to just let her be a teenager and said a prayer for me. I wanted a video for the father-daughter dance. I got a bunch of pictures of us together, but I realized I didn't have any recent pictures of us. She didn't want to take any. The last time I had pictures of her and me smiling was on her 13th birthday, and those were on my daughter's broken tablet. I took that tablet. I went to a repair shop and didn't care about the cost. I needed to fix that tablet. After a day and $300, the technician fixed it, and I was happy. I knew her password, but I never cared about invading her privacy. I just wanted those pictures, and when I opened the tablet, I looked in the gallery, and there they were, my little girls smiling and happy to be with me. I felt great. Then the instant messages appeared. It was my daughter talking to my wife. It was a long chat where she didn't want me to dance with her, and that was it, but as my wife said, she's being a teenager. Then she said something that destroyed me. She texted asking why she had to do the father-daughter dance with me, since I'm not her father. I felt my heart stop. I felt dizzy, my mouth went dry, and I needed to sit down. My wife replied that I raised her, amen, and that makes me her father. But Luna replied saying that my cousin is her father, and she couldn't wait to turn 18 to tell me the truth and be able to live with her real father. Her father, whom she hated and thanked God for not being her father. Marissol started cursing her, saying it was a mistake for my cousin to tell the truth 2 years ago, and the more they talked, the angrier I became. My wife lied to me for 15 years. My cousin, whom I trusted with my problems with Luna and my fears of being a bad father, not only slept with my wife but made me raise his daughter. I wanted to hurt them. I felt a mixture of anger, sadness, and grief. I wanted to scream, cry, and die all at once. If that makes any sense, I went to a dark place, and to avoid doing anything stupid, I told Marissol I needed to focus on work so I could pay for the party. Instead, I drove to the city of my old public defender, who was no longer a low-level lawyer. He had an expensive office nearby in the suburbs. I was surprised he remembered me, but apparently I was his first case as a public defender. We sat down, and I told him everything. I gave him the tablet, and when he turned it on, the messages kept coming. Only this time, Luna was there. I was talking to my cousin, her real father, and he was telling her to give me a chance, like I'd always been there for her. But Luna told him that he had been there too, as it made sense that they had so much in common, and even called him Dad several times in the conversation. He responded and told her that she was his daughter. We discussed our options, and he asked me what I wanted to do. I told him I wanted to go all in. I wanted to poison the well, and he asked me several times if that was what I wanted, and I felt it too. I told him that everything had to be filed before the 15th birthday party in 2 weeks. So we sat down and spent the next 12 hours doing what needed to be done, and I followed his instructions to the letter. I secretly put my business up for sale, called the private school, and told them I wouldn't be paying for the next year, closed my college accounts and the savings I had for student services, and prepared to put my house up for sale online. Nobody noticed. I followed his instructions perfectly. There was only one thing I deviated from: the day of the party. That day went smoothly. The whole family was there. Luna was smiling, having fun. Marissol kept asking me if I was okay, and I lied to her. It was hard to lie to her. From the moment I met her, I never lied to her. And during those 2 weeks, every time I kissed her, hugged her, made love to her, it was hard not to yell at her. It was hard not to hate her. She knew I was raising another man's child. She slept with my cousin, a man I considered my brother. My daughter's godfather. The godfather when we ran away. My confidant. Then, suppressing the anger was difficult, to say the least. When it came time for the dance, my daughter called me to the center of the bank. She seemed annoyed but walked over there. I had music playing and she smiled, and it tore me apart inside. Seeing her smile at me for years, I wanted to see that smile again. Now I didn't want it. While we danced, I had a slideshow playing. Photos of the two of us, and at the end of the song, screenshots of her text messages with her mother and real father. Needless to say, this wasn't good at all. Marissol looked like she'd seen a ghost. Luna just stared at the big screen, and my cousin just stared at me in fear. Marissol ran to me and said she could explain, and I told her I'd filed for divorce, and that she could explain in court. She grabbed my arm, begging me, and I recoiled. I told Luna I'd worked so hard to give her the world, and now she didn't deserve it. I started to leave, but not before telling my cousin that every time I saw him, I'd beat him up. So, I am. And he deleted the post event. It was brutal. Marissol and Luna were in my grandmother's apartment. Her family was shocked and disgusted with her. They didn't want anything to do with her anymore. Her father even apologized to me. I don't know why, he never liked me, even though he changed my life. This man hated me, but now I was the perfect husband and father, but just a few days before I was the ex-trash. My grandmother had the audacity to tell me the story of Abraham and how, when he returned from battle 3 years later, his wife had a 1-year-old son, and he raised him as if he were his own. Her, and how I should be like Abraham. So I told her to shut up and get out of my house. Marissol came a few days later crying as soon as she saw me, saying it was an accident, that when I was arrested she was so angry with me and my cousin was there to comfort her, and one thing led to another, and they had sex. It only happened once, and she has been faithful to me ever since. She was willing to take a lie detector test to prove it. So I asked her how long she knew Luna wasn't mine, and she started crying even more. The expression she gave me just told me she knew from day one. I asked her to leave. She wanted to go to therapy, telling me I was exaggerating and that we could make it work, that it was in the past and I needed to get over it, that I am Luna's father. And despite everything, I allowed my anger to manifest. I must have repeated "get over it" more than a dozen times at full volume. While grabbing her things and throwing them out the door, I called the liar, told her I never wanted to see her damn face again, and told her that this life I built no longer belongs to her. Before I pushed her out the door, a few weeks passed and she kept blowing up my phone. Luna never tried to contact me. Marissol was shocked to learn that I sold my business. Even more so when she learned that I had prepared an open house to sell the house. She came in screaming, telling the spectators to get out of her house and begging me to seek help, that I was ruining our marriage, that I had no right to sell our house, the house where we raised our daughter. I told her that this house is full of lies. It's a house where I raised another man's daughter, and when I sell it, I'll give her half. I ordered her to leave before I called the police. It was a bluff. All she had to do was play the victim, and I would have been arrested, but she didn't. She obeyed. Soon after, my cousin came to talk to me and I punched him, dragged him outside, and closed the door. I refused mediation. Marissol wanted reconciliation, but I didn't. I wanted a divorce, and my lawyer filed for a quick divorce, and in 3 months, we were in court. I barely spoke to anyone during that time. I read horror stories about the judicial system, especially during divorce proceedings, but I didn't experience that. I had a judge who was very fair. My lawyer took care of everything. First, Marissol's lawyer tried to talk about my past when I was in a gang, as if my past was a reason for me to be a terrible husband and father, but my lawyer quickly refuted that. The judge reprimanded her lawyer for trying to shame someone who had changed their life. My lawyer presented all the evidence and offered a lump sum alimony payment. With the house and business sales pending, Marissol's lawyer initially tried to convince me to reconsider, but I ignored her. When she finally realized I wasn't giving in, she agreed. However, the real surprise came when it came to child support. My lawyer presented all the text messages from Luna's conversation with Marissol, showing that not only did Luna know I wasn't her father, but she couldn't wait to be with her real father, saying she didn't need to live a lie anymore. Marissol was completely surprised by this afterward. My lawyer filed a request to remove my name from Luna's birth certificate, remove my last name, and exempt me from child support payments, since all parties agreed that my cousin was her father. Marissol was shocked by this. She yelled at me, begging me not to do this to Luna, that I am her father because I raised her, and how pathetic I can appear now. If Luna hadn't acted that way towards me, if she hadn't said those things, I would have agreed. There were times when I wanted to get in touch and try to make it work, but then I would see Luna's continuous text messages to her friends. Her real father and mother, and I, focused on my resolution until today. I don't know what hurts more. Being deceived by a woman you thought was the love of your life, or having a child whose life you tried to make better, give the world to, only to be discarded like trash. The judge remained silent for a long time, reading page after page of the text messages. In the end, he agreed I was not financially responsible for Luna and my name could be removed. My lawyer also filed a request for the courts to charge my cousin for child support. AL lied, and a request to sue my cousin in civil court for all the money I spent raising Luna. Private schools, dance classes, scouts, writing lessons, everything I ever spent on that child. Then my lawyer explained to the judge that my cousin committed fraud by knowingly allowing me to raise his daughter and not offering any financial support or assistance. It was a desperate move, and the damn judge agreed. I didn't even bother to look at Marissol when the judge made her decision. I didn't even care to listen to her as I left the courthouse. I didn't care while I listened to her cry, telling me she only cheated once and had been faithful ever since. I simply didn't care anymore. A few weeks later, my ex called me, shocked that I had stopped paying for Luna's private schools and all her activities. I told her to call the child's father before hanging up. Luna even called me for the first time since all this torment, crying, saying she would have to go to a public school that was moving to the old neighborhood, and how scary that was, and how she wanted us to be a family again. I told her to find her real father, the man she truly wanted, and ask him. I yelled at her, told her that not only had she known for years, but I had read all the text messages, the ups and downs, and in her own words, she was grateful that a thug like me wasn't her father, even though I wasn't a thug anymore since the day I found out I was going to be a father. I hung up the phone after that. I thought about ending my life countless times. I thought about killing my cousin, but I made him pay. He had to pay me $500,000. $500,000 that was all mine, and not a single cent belonged to my ex because she agreed to a fixed amount. I didn't care that the money came from the church. I was hurt. I left New York shortly after and went to Idaho, as far away from New York as possible. I just chose a random state and city and left. I opened a new store, bought a house, but for 2 years I had trust issues. For 2 years I saw a therapist, took anger management classes, went to anger management rooms. It was difficult until I found myself going back to church. Ironically, that's where I met my fiancée, Jocelyn. She's wonderful. She had just turned 30 at the time, and we got along very well. I told her everything that happened to me, explained to her that I would have trust issues, and she understood. A year later, she told me I was going to be a father. She insisted I take a DNA test just so I would have spiritual parents. I forgot what it was like to be happy again, and when my son was born, I was radiant. I called my grandmother for the first time in years. She cried when I told her about it. My son insisted I go to New York so she could meet her great-grandson, blaming me, saying she's 90 years old and would like to see me one more time, and I agreed. We flew to New York, rented a car, and drove to Butchie. The only thing I didn't like about the neighborhood was that you only have to see one person from your past, and the whole neighborhood knows you're back. My grandmother saw my son, met my fiancé, made a comment in Spanish about her being white, and I just agreed. I was planning to spend the week doing touristy things. For once, it was Jocelyn's first time in the Big Apple, and I wanted to make it special. Damn, nothing goes as planned. First, my ex yelled my name from downstairs. I looked out the window and was surprised at how much weight she'd gained. My grandmother told me in Spanish to talk to her, and Jocelyn agreed. I went downstairs, stood awkwardly silent for a minute, and that anger just came rushing back like a flood. Marissol told me I was fine and said she was terrible. She told me she missed me, that she never. She'd been with another man since the divorce, and I ignored her. She even had the audacity to tell me I was a grandfather, and I looked at her. Apparently, Luna got with a decent guy, got pregnant at 18. The baby's father joined the Marines to support them, and her father didn't want anything to do with her, just pays child support and refuses to acknowledge her. He's no longer a pastor and is working at the Popular Bank 2 blocks away. Then she told me that Luna gave the baby the same name as me, and I couldn't bear to look at her. Marissol wanted me to wait because Luna... I was on my way, and I simply turned away, went to my grandmother's house, and didn't need to tell Jocelyn anything. She simply knew, and we left in the elevator. I told her what happened, and she smiled and said everything would be all right. The look on Marissol's face when we left the building. She looked at my fiancé as if she were the other woman. And Jocelyn, without missing a beat, introduced my son to her. "Well," she said, "I'd like you to meet his biological son." And that was like twisting a knife, but she knew my pain. Marissol kept trying to stop me from leaving, saying that Luna felt bad about what she did, and Jocelyn wanted me to make amends, but I was too angry. I got in the car, ignoring Marissol's pleas, and Jocelyn told me to offer her an olive branch, so I gave her my number so Luna could call me, and I drove away. At a red light, I saw my cousin near the hot dog stand. I don't know what came over me. I got out of the car, ran to him, and beat him up. Jocelyn was screaming, telling me to stop, and when we locked eyes, I saw the fear, spat on it, and left. I'm back home, working, being a father, a good fiancé to a wonderful woman. However, since I returned, when I'm alone with my thoughts, the anger returns. Luna texted me with a picture of her smiling with her son, saying she was sorry for what she did. Still, I don't know if she regrets losing my company or if she regrets that the man she wanted as a father wasn't who she thought he was. I'm very confused and afraid to communicate with her. I want to overcome this. I want to move on. My family was everything to me. My daughter was my world. Even after all these years, it still hurts. It still makes me angry, but I know I need to move on, but it's difficult. I want to communicate with Luna, but I'm afraid. I have people telling me to let her come back, but all I can think about are those text messages and the lies, the constant lies. I need help, and my usual methods aren't working. Thank you for reading this. I needed to vent. As I mentioned, I don't care if you think this is fake. I really don't give a damn, but your help is appreciated. Update: I've been waiting for moderator approval for a while now, and yesterday was Father's Day. Luna tried to call me several times, and I looked at the phone. I wanted to answer, but I didn't. But all that kept echoing in my mind were those messages, what she said to her mother, to her real father, to her friends, so I eventually ignored it. I listened to her voicemail, and she seemed so excited. She apologized briefly for her actions, but to me, it didn't seem sincere, just passive. Maybe I'm overthinking it. She mentioned her son, her fiancé, and asked me to call her. Simple requests that infuriated me. My grandmother and my fiancé are telling me to give her a chance, but when I asked my grandmother if Luna or Marissol had asked about me in the 4 years I was away, she said Marissol had constantly, but not Luna. So, in my distorted mind, I think Luna wants me in her life so the child is taken care of, or maybe she wants to exploit me, and that made me very angry. Even Marissol tried to call me constantly, and I'm already thinking about changing my number. So, I spent most of Father's Day at the gym hitting the punching bag, and I have an appointment today with an anger management group. Maybe they can give me an outside opinion. If this is published by the moderators, I would like to have your opinion as well. Meanwhile, I'm trying to understand this on my own. Update 2. I would like to thank Louis Sun Fiji 42 for the advice to send an email. As a first step, I sent a short email to Luna that simply said, "What do you want?" I didn't expect the response in several paragraphs. She began the email profusely apologizing for how she acted. She said that when she found out I wasn't her father, she got angry. She confronted her mother, and she cried, making her promise not to tell me how lost she felt. She started talking to my cousin, her real father, more and more. But he told her about my violent past, the things I used to do, things I kept secret from her. This made her angry, and the more time we spent together, the more she distanced herself from me. She said she felt bad from time to time, but my cousin reinforced her feelings towards me. On her 15th birthday, she said that while we were dancing, she realized how stupid she was acting. She realized how much I loved her. Then her messages appeared on the screen in the following days. My wife's family told her to give me space, not to call me, and she listened. She said she was watching her family fall apart because of her and couldn't do anything to fix it. She told me she understood why I did what I did. However, she wanted to reconnect. Her grandfather kept telling her that I loved her, that I raised her, and despite what I saw through the messages, I would do the right thing, and she believed him. During the divorce, her mother went into a dark place, didn't speak to her, barely ate, was just existing when she found out that her name was removed from her birth certificate. She said she had a panic attack. Her mother said they would have to move back to Brooklyn. And when she asked about her life and school, her mother said, "That was the life your father gave you, and he's not your father anymore." Then she called me begging, and I cursed her out before hanging up. She cried for days. She tried to contact my cousin, who practically ignored her. She even went to church, and he told her to leave, calling her a mistake. Her mother refused to speak to her, basically locking herself in a room, only coming out to use the bathroom or shower. She begged her grandfather to take her to see me, and when they came to Long Island, she found out I had moved. Her grandfather said he would talk to her grandmother and find out where I went. For the next 2 years, according to her, it was hell. The whole neighborhood knew what happened to her and her mother. Her father avoided her at all costs and tried not to pay child support. It took her grandmother to start paying. Meanwhile, her mother didn't speak to her. She would lock herself in her room, and on the few occasions they spoke, she would call her ungrateful and say that was the reason she lost the love of her life. Her grandfather had to put her mother in her place, telling her that her infidelity was the reason she lost the love of her life, and she locked herself back in her room. Luna was hardly ever home then, and that's how she met the father of her child. He worked at the corner store. They were the same age. After a few months of talking, one thing led to another, and she became pregnant. Her grandfather was furious, but when her boyfriend insisted he would marry her, things calmed down. Luna said her pregnancy was a blessing in disguise. Her mother started talking to her again, even leaving her room to be by her side at every doctor's appointment. Being a pregnant senior in high school was cliché, but she made it work. A month before the baby was born, she graduated, and her boyfriend joined the Marines. He wanted to run away before leaving, but she wanted marriage. Her boyfriend had no problem giving his name to the child. Apparently, his father was absent. The fact that he was a junior was a reminder of... She said that he shared the name of a man who didn't want him. When she found out I was in town, she got a speeding ticket trying to get to my grandmother's apartment. She wanted to see me, wanted to apologize, wanted me to see her son. She just wanted to see me. However, she was late and cried. When her mother gave her my number, she wanted to call me immediately, but the whole neighborhood was gossiping about how I beat her father, so she waited. Her mother was sad to see that I had moved on and had a son, Luna. She was happy to know she had a half-brother, but her mother was a little more depressed. I felt sorry for Marissol. After reading the email, I called Marissol and asked if it was true that she had refused to speak to Luna for years and blamed her for our divorce. She confirmed it, and at first I yelled at her, but I regained my composure when I heard her crying. I told her to move on and find someone else, but she said no. She told me that I was her husband and always would be her husband. That broke my heart a little. So I had my grandmother go talk to my cousin, so I could talk to him. The moment he heard my voice, he started crying and begged me to forgive him. I only asked him why he wasn't a father to Luna, why he poisoned her against me, and he said it was envy. He was in love with Marissol, and I shot him when I was arrested. He comforted her, manipulated her, and barely lasted a second with her. She realized what she was doing and pushed him away. But he had already done it when she found out she was pregnant. He knew the baby was his. It was supposed to be a secret. Marissol had a double ostomy as a sign from God for his infidelity and disappointment. When Luna turned 13, he was drunk, watching my life, and envy was the only sin he couldn't overcome. So he wanted to ruin it, and he succeeded. I told him that when we meet again in hell, I will be his eternal torturer, and I hung up. Jocelyn was there for me. She told me everything would be all right. Luna and I started communicating again by email. I spoke to her that day. She spent over an hour crying while talking to me. I even spoke to her boyfriend, who asked my permission to marry her. I found it funny, but honorable. My wedding is next month, and Jocelyn wants me to invite Luna. At the same time, Luna wants me to give her away at her wedding in November. My future father-in-law made me sit down and said he couldn't understand my situation but respects the path I chose because that path saved his little girl, gave him a beautiful grandson, and a future son-in-law he would kill for, and that made me laugh. But he told me I need to let go of the resentment and start forgiving but never forget. He's right. So we sent Luna an invitation to my wedding. We even offered to pay for her plane ticket. Her boyfriend, or should I say fiancé, said he'll work at my shop when they arrive. I kind of like him. As for giving her away at her wedding, I still don't know. We'll see how the wedding goes first. Thank you again for the advice and the few direct messages. Nobody was rude or disrespectful. You helped me a lot. I'll update if anything happens, but for now I have to prepare for my wedding next month. Update 3. A lot has happened in a short period of time. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for the great support in the direct messages. Of course, there were hate messages, but all I can say to those people is that what you would have done and what I did are different mindsets, and even going through the same situation or something similar. Don't tell me how I should have felt in the days leading up to the wedding. I was already nervous. Jocelyn was happier than I'd ever seen her. My in-laws were freaking out because of the number of people coming.
I swear I think the whole town came.
While all this was happening, I was an hour and a half away in Bois waiting for Luna and her family at the airport in the days leading up to her visit. We talked a lot, especially her crying and apologizing. And I was just listening when she couldn't speak anymore. I was talking to her fiancé, who is more sensible. When their plane landed, I was very scared, not because I would see her again, but because of my anger. I was afraid of losing my temper. The moment she saw me in the terminal, she ran to me crying, and for a second I saw my daughter, when she was 7 years old. It was strange to imagine a child in my mind. She ran screaming, "Dad." The moment she hugged me, she started crying loudly. It was like a lament that made many people look at us. She just kept apologizing again and again, asking me to forgive her, and I just held her for more than 15 minutes. She refused to let go of me. It took her fiancé and me convincing her to do it. It was as if she felt that the moment she let go of me, I would disappear. After she composed herself, her fiancé properly introduced himself, and then we were introduced to their son. I won't lie, I cried. I wasn't angry, but I cried. This baby, Luna, was also a living image of her mother when she was 19, which made me think of Marissol. During the trip home, we talked about her fiancé's military training, how he plans to pursue a military career, how Luna is doing online college to learn accounting, and mostly catching up. When we arrived at my house, Jocelyn and her family had a table set for them. Since we've been together, Jocelyn has learned to cook Spanish dishes, but in the week leading up to Luna's visit, she overdid it a bit, but I understand. She wanted to make a good impression. She and Luna got along well. Every few minutes, Luna would come over to me just to give me a quick hug and then go back to Jocelyn. I was just holding my son and grandson while Jocelyn introduced Luna to her family. I put the babies to bed and went out onto the porch to get some fresh air. Luna's fiancé was standing at the foot of the yard watching all the bison wandering around. For a moment, I wanted to give him the dad talk, but felt it wasn't my place. Instead, I asked him if he liked the view, and he stayed. Amazed. I know the feeling of living in the city most of your life. Open spaces are a marvel to appreciate. After a minute or two, he looked at me and said how sorry Luna was. I've been with her daughter for 3 years, and not a day goes by that she doesn't mention how much she misses her and regrets what she did. Of everything he told me, that single phrase constantly repeated in my mind. Her fiancé's name is Roberto, and for a man of only 19, he acts and speaks like someone in his 30s. This tells me that he had a difficult life to mature. I quickly recognized that feeling. The next day I had to go to the garage and Luna practically jumped into the car with the baby. Roberto told her it was okay, that she should enjoy herself. Luna seemed like she was going to hyperventilate, and I told her we would work half days and I would spend the rest of the day with her. That seemed to solve it, and little by little I began to realize how traumatized Luna was during the trip. I asked Roberto what was wrong with her. She has serious abandonment issues, constantly afraid that he will leave her. Despite Dee telling her he would never do that, she cares a lot, is a little clingy sometimes, and at first was afraid to be herself, afraid that they would break up. He had to reaffirm his love for her just so she would calm down. "Wait a little. This was my fault, I know that," he said, but he doesn't blame me. He told me he completely understood why I did what I did. Let me say that Roberto is a terrible mechanic. He doesn't understand anything about cars. So I sent Luna to the garage to work on the plane tickets. We closed early, and when we arrived, Luna practically ran towards me. She seemed unbalanced. I told her I would be back, and she went to her fiancé. When I got home, Joss told me that Luna needs to be reminded that everything will be all right, that I won't leave her again. I didn't know what to say, but Joss took my hands and told me that Luna is hurt and needs her father for the next few days. I spent all my time with Luna, reacting humanely with her. I took her to my in-laws' farm and showed her the bison and the elk, and took her for a walk. Days before the wedding, I apologized to her for leaving. I apologized for how I acted. I apologized for the actions I took. She didn't want to hear any of it. She told me there was nothing I should apologize for. She said she knew she was the reason everything fell apart, that she knew it was her fault, and that I had to stop her. I started crying. I told her it wasn't her fault, that I was angry, that I was hurt, and that despite what happened, I should be the one to apologize. We both cried and just hugged. Luna seemed a little better on my wedding day. She was happy. At the last minute, Jocelyn made her a bridesmaid and Roberto a groomsman. The wedding was beautiful. During the reception, I asked the DJ to play Luna's 15th birthday song and asked her to dance with me. She cried the whole time, clinging to me as if her life depended on it. While we danced, I hadn't felt so happy in a long time. I let Luna and her fiancé stay at my house taking care of her little brother while I went to Hawaii for my honeymoon. When we returned home, she was happy, hugged us, and it was great. Roberto told me he's going to Afghanistan and wanted to know if Luna could stay near us. He would pay for an apartment near us until he could buy a house. Of course, I said yes. They returned to the city the day before yesterday. As I said, it was hectic. Luna's wedding is in November, and Roberto is leaving in December. Roberto sent me a year's rent for a house in the Toves community, 3 miles from my house. However, she suggested that we should put a mobile home on our property for Luna and let her save money to buy a house when Roberto returns. Marissol has been insistently calling my cell phone, and based on the messages she left, she is not happy about Luna moving out. My focus is now on my family and reconciling my relationship with my daughter. Update 4. First, I would like to thank everyone for the positive comments and support in the direct messages. I also apologize for the delay in updating. I waited for Luna to return from her honeymoon to show her this post. Our therapist wanted us to have total transparency regarding the situation. I wanted to be sure to share more information since this also involves her. She read the post, but I refused to let her see any hateful comments considering how much she cried over the post. However, she had no problem with me posting an update. Then a tragedy occurred with the death of my grandmother, and I needed to put this on hold. So, let's continue from where I left off. Jocelyn, I managed. We put a mobile home on our property and got everything ready for Luna and Roberto. Many people wondered why Jocelyn kept pushing for us to make peace. In the beginning, Jocelyn didn't want my lingering anger to affect our family and wanted me to make peace with myself for the sake of our family. I'm grateful for that. As I mentioned before, Marissol kept calling me, and on the day Luna left New York, I spoke with her. She was crying and angry at me, saying I took her daughter and grandson away from her. I tried to explain that I wanted to rebuild my relationship with Luna, and almost immediately she started questioning me about rebuilding my relationship with her. I had to tell her I couldn't, which made her cry and hang up on me. Luna and Roberto loved the trailer, and the first thing Roberto did was start the process of reimbursing me. I told him it wasn't necessary, but he insisted, and I appreciated it. A few days later, Luna and I had our first therapy session, and I found out about all the anxiety medication she was taking and that she suffered from chronic panic attacks. One thing I can share about our sessions is that Luna is very sorry and suffered years of verbal abuse from Marissol. There were things that shocked me, some things I found unbelievable, but they were confirmed when I spoke to my ex-father-in-law. Marissol verbally and emotionally abused her. My cousin destroyed her mentally, and despite my feelings and the actions I took, I know I hurt her too. 2 weeks after they arrived, Roberto received the news that he would be detached early, so they had to bring the wedding forward. Initially, Luna wanted to wait for him to return, but Roberto insisted he wanted to. They wanted to get married before he left. Jocelyn and I offered financial help for the wedding, but Luna told me she only wanted me to walk her down the aisle and give her away. I know many people told me to do a DNA test because there wasn't one from the court due to the circumstantial evidence provided. Let me say there's no need for that. Luna is blood type positive, I am negative, Marissol is B positive, and my cousin is positive. However, despite what happened, Luna is my daughter. I just wish I wasn't. Blinded by rage, the wedding had to be small anyway, since it was being held on my in-laws' farm. My ex-father-in-law, Roberto's mother, Marissol, and my grandmother were invited. Only two confirmed their attendance. My grandmother couldn't attend because she wasn't feeling well, and Marissol was hospitalized after attempting to hurt herself. Luna didn't handle the news well, and I was angry with Marissol because she expected Luna to return to New York to help care for her. In the weeks leading up to the wedding, I found out I was going to be a father again. I was ecstatic. Roberto learned the hard way about taming a horse, and I started teaching him how to fix cars again. I like this boy. The day before the wedding, my ex-father-in-law arrived with Roberto's mother. She's a very kind person, and I praised her for raising a good young man. My ex-father-in-law was stoic as always, but we talked. He told me he was disappointed that I had left, but given the circumstances, he understood. He only wished that his daughter could also move on her wedding day. Jocelyn was Luna's maid of honor at her wedding, and I did my best not to cry while walking her down the aisle, but it was difficult. It was even harder for her during the reception. We played her 15th birthday song again for our father-daughter dance, and again, she just held on to me. For those who wanted to know, the song is Cinderella by Stephen Kurt Sheepman. During the honeymoon, things were getting back to normal, and I was planning to write an update, but a few days before they returned home, my grandmother passed away, and it hurt me because she wasn't just my grandmother, but my mother. As I mentioned, I never knew my parents. My mother and father died alongside my cousin's parents when I was a few months old in a car accident, and she raised us together. So, while I was preparing to go to New York for the funeral, I was trying to control myself and prepare to see my cousin. We went as a family to New York. My grandmother was buried in the Cypress Rio Cemetery. However, during the funeral, with my wife, daughter, and son-in-law by my side, I wasn't angry. I didn't even recognize my cousin during the funeral. As we were leaving, my cousin kept trying to talk to me, practically begging me to yell at him so I would hit him, and for some reason I ignored him, which hurt him even more. A few days before we returned to Idaho, no EU, we visited Marissol, no Bellevue. She was happy to see us, sad about having lost her wedding, and we thought everything was fine until we had to leave. She started crying, telling the employee that she wanted to go home with her husband, asking me to take her home, that I was the love of her life, and please just take her home. I cried as they took her away. Luna also broke down, and it took a while before any of us had the strength to leave the living room. My ex-father-in-law told us that Marissol was never the same after the divorce. She still celebrated my birthday and our anniversary, and he argued with her to move on, but she never did. He said she isolated herself and was verbally abusive to Luna for a long time. Luna's pregnancy snapped her out of it. He said that the 13 months of being kind to our daughter don't erase the 4 years of neglect and abuse she inflicted. He hopes the hospital will help her. Jocelyn told me I'll have to forgive her, so she can forgive herself. Now, as I type, things are going well. Jocelyn and I are closer than ever. Roberto left for Saudi Arabia last week, and Luna is trying to appear strong with him gone, but she's doing it badly. She's been clinging to me, Jocelyn. I thought Jocelyn might be bothered, but she loves spending time with Luna. She's truly a wonderful woman. She's been taking Luna all over town, introducing her as her daughter. I have forgiven Marissol, and I hope she finds the strength to move on. Update 5, 1 year later. Before I begin, I would like to thank all of you, even the critics and those who doubted me. When I posted a year ago, I was in a dark place. I was always angry, lost, and depressed. The people here really helped me, and the gratitude I have for all of you will be with me until the day I die. This community helped me get my daughter back. You all helped me get my life back. Last year was great, but not without its ups and downs. I have another child, and Jocelyn wants to try for another. I'm going to be a grandmother again. Luna is 2 months pregnant, and my son-in-law has applied to officer training school, and I hope he gets accepted. My daughter has improved a bit since the therapist started prolonged exposure therapy. For a while, her panic attacks went from mild to severe, and I thank an editor for suggesting exposure therapy, because it has been a blessing. Our therapy sessions together were difficult at first. Hearing everything she went through, she admitted her mistakes, and I admitted mine. My in-laws put her to work on the farm. Nothing extravagant, feeding horses, distributing hay, and my mother-in-law is teaching her to herd buffalo. It makes me smile when I see her on a horse. Her face lights up. She and Jocelyn act like mother and daughter, and seeing how Jocelyn is super protective of her is lovely. I'm lucky to have married such a wonderful woman. When I met her, she had just come out of a very difficult relationship. With a swollen eye and bruises around her neck, I offered to fix her father's 3 tractors for free since they were damaged by her ex-husband dumping salt and sugar in the tanks. At first, I minded my own business, but as she brought me food, we talked and got to know each other, and a month later we had our first kiss. It was great. I took her out to dinner, and a few days later her ex came to see me and tried to intimidate me. I seriously scared him. Sorry, I digressed. In the first week of May, my ex-father-in-law passed away, and I was afraid Luna might relapse, but she was strong thanks to Roberto, who was there with her. This man had a strong impact on her life, and the level of gratitude I owe him will never be repaid. We all flew to New York, and he had his farewell, like a true Puerto Rican. There was a live salsa band, an open bar, and a buffet with pastillas, pernil, sancocho. All his favorite foods were there for everyone to enjoy. Don't mourn me, celebrate me, was the banner on his coffin, which was draped with the Puerto Rican flag, and he was wearing his vanilla ice cream suit. I couldn't help but smile the whole time. Marissol was there, but she just kept staring into space. It was as if her brain would shut down, only to switch back on when Luna or I sat next to her, and she started talking about preparing for her daughter's 15th birthday. After a while, she would realize where she was, and her brain would shut down again. The therapist told us during the second day of the farewell that her mind was stuck in a moment when she was happier, when Luna was away. The therapist told me that, in her professional opinion, she believes my cousin might have Marissol. And her mind protected her from that trauma, rationalized it, and made her believe it was a moment of weakness. That affected me, and I told Jocelyn what the therapist said, and she was shocked. She insisted I should tell Luna, but I was afraid. She had taken many steps to improve, and I didn't want her to regress. Instead, we told Roberto first, who wanted to go after my cousin, but I calmed him down, and then we sat down as a family and talked to Luna. It was a bad night, a really bad night. We had an accident at the funeral. 2 days later, my cousin showed up uninvited and caused a scene. He was drunk, and I wanted to finish him off. I believe that's the appropriate term. Instead, I told him to leave. Roberto was holding me back, and my cousin started yelling that he's always been better than me and always will be, and that it was because of him and his daughter that I improved my life. So, in a way, he's responsible for me becoming a better person. I got angry and practically lifted Roberto off the ground to go after him, but Luna punched him in the mouth and started. While I was beating him, she was screaming and crying so furiously as I attacked. I hesitated briefly, and Roberto pulled her away from him as he stood up. Jocelyn punched him, breaking his index finger in the process. Before we went home, we had a family meeting, and we all agreed to transfer Marissol to a mental facility near us, since she has no one else. We are still in therapy, and with this new revelation, my daughter is trying to cope with the possibility of being the product of a child abuse. Before this happened, I was planning to adopt her since she really isn't my daughter anymore. I want to make that official again, but I feel like the timing might not be right. I'll answer any questions. I owe a lot to this community, and God bless you all. Hello everyone, it's been a while, and I'd like to express my gratitude to all of you. My family continues to grow. I have 2 grandchildren, a boy and a girl, 2 sons, and another daughter. For a while, I was distressed, a little depressed after being informed about what happened in Marissol's hypnotherapy session. From the explanation, she said no twice before freezing for over a minute and begging him to stop, at which point my cousin finished and left her. The therapist said she rolled to the side and kept repeating it was a mistake and convinced herself it was a mistake. This really impacted me. It caused a cloud of depression over me. I blamed myself, blamed my cousin, started imagining scenarios in my head, focusing on what could have been, what should have been, and it hit very hard, I told myself. Even though my cousin was right, I ruined it. I struggled to remember every family interaction to see if there was any sign, anything that indicated he did something to her, and there was always that whenever he was home, she was never in the same room with him or alone with him. I never noticed, but now everything is so vivid. The hindsight is really complicated. In the following months, I participated in a family therapy session with Marissol. Like many of you, the therapist also asked me what I would have done if Marissol had told me the truth. When I got out of prison, honestly, I would have eliminated him. If she had told me years later, I would have beaten him almost to death. Finally, I was asked if she had told me during her 15 years. I said that initially I wouldn't have believed her. However, I would have asked, prodded, provoked, and eventually discovered the truth. The way I felt at that time, I would have sent my cousin to the hospital, but I wouldn't have run away. I believe things would have been dramatically different. Eventually, Marissol became more comforting as time passed. Marissol confessed that since she couldn't give me another child, she focused on being the best wife and partner she could be, and when I left, she admitted that when she looked at our daughter, all she saw was my cousin. I asked why she allowed my cousin to still come to our house. She said that in a way, he was like my brother. I was always very proud of him, especially when he became a pastor. I spoke very highly of him. I always sought advice from him, and in her mind, she saw him as a mistake, a brief moment of error that wouldn't disappear, so she avoided every opportunity. Luna's panic attacks returned, a little more aggressive, but now she's doing well. I officially adopted her last month. It was my birthday present for her. She couldn't stop crying. She seemed very happy. From what I saw, my cousin moved to Puerto Rico after being fired. The bank had to let him go due to the large number of people entering the bank and making a scene. We put a new trailer next to Luna for Marissol. She was released in mid-March, and at first it was strange, extremely strange. I used to watch TV shows with scenarios like that, having my ex-wife and current wife next to each other on TV. They are friendly, but that's TV. Jocelyn was very polite, but established a clear boundary for Marissol to follow. However, Marissol told us that she doesn't want to stay on our property. She wants to stay near us, but all she wants is to be a mother and grandmother. She wants to be friends with me, but a distant friend, and I can respect that. Sometimes Jocelyn and Marissol disagreed, mainly about raising children and cooking habits. My in-laws, like me, felt uncomfortable with the whole situation, and it's not helping that my brother-in-law is a little smitten with Marissol, to the point that Jocelyn slapped him on the back of the head to see if he would wake up. It didn't work. The man is 2 years older than me, widowed for 2 years with 3 young daughters. He's a really nice guy, a great horse tamer, and he's been on my property more than I'd like just to try and talk to Marissol. I don't mind, but Jocelyn does. She's very protective of her older brother and feels that if the two of them get together, she won't know if it's genuine. I can respect that. There was an incident at Luna's birthday party shortly after giving her the adoption papers. I danced with Luna and then with Jocelyn, and when Marissol tried to dance with me after dancing with Roberto and Jocelyn's brother, I refused to show respect. But it triggered the green-eyed monster in Jocelyn's eyes, and she got a little territorial. At Easter, we were watching the children hunt for eggs, and I heard Marissol tell Jocelyn that she envied her. Jocelyn was able to give me children. Jocelyn told her that Luna is my daughter despite the circumstances. Luna was mine, and she should always remember that. Marissol cried, and it was the first time I saw them getting along. That's how I am now. I hope everything balances out. The update is always there. Healing demands time and patience. Healing requires understanding. It also helps when there is a support system. My wife is my support system. Seeing her with my daughter, how she is there for her, and lately how she is there for my ex-wife. Taking her to the survivors group meeting every week surprises me with how lucky I am. I sat with her and thanked her for everything she did. I told her the consort everything I am for being with her, and she gave me a wide smile before kissing me. She tells me that I saved her too. It reminded me of her very abusive ex and the complacent woman she was. Then she tells me that being there for me and my family was the least she could do. We sat to watch TV while we hugged. Quickly, a week later, I received a letter from him, and I burned it. Another week passed, and my wife told me that her brother was very interested in asking Marissol out in person. I didn't mind, but I told her that Marissol is an adult who is healing from a lot of trauma. And if he understands that and is willing to be patient, then I have no problem. A day later, I received another letter from my cousin, and once again I burned it. Normally, I would complain about how he found me, but I am named after my great-grandfather whose name is extremely unique and my surname is not so common, so finding me with a simple Google search wasn't that difficult. In mid-June, we were enjoying a bonfire. I smiled at my daughter and son-in-law dancing slowly, without music. My wife had her head resting on my chest, and I noticed my brother-in-law and Marissol kissing and smiled. A few days later, my cousin tried to contact Luna on Facebook, and she had a panic attack. Roberto blocked him, and later that same day, while we were at the supermarket, my wife's ex came back to town and had the audacity to try to talk to her. I could see the fear in her eyes, and I simply reacted. It was a single punch, but I made sure she spoke loudly. My wife, my rock, my support, was in tremendous chaos. The way she was trembling and terrified made me want to jump on him, but the sheriff intervened and told him to leave before checking on Jocelyn. In all the years we've been together, I've never seen her so terrified. While the sheriff was talking to us, I saw her ex passing by the window, and the bastard was smiling at me. The sheriff noticed and grabbed my arm, telling me to take Jocelyn home. During that trip, she was quiet, and when we got home, all she wanted was for me to hug her and not let go. Luna was extremely worried, and Jocelyn pulled her into the hug too. None of us had ever seen her like that before, and all I wanted to do was protect her. Later that day, her brother, he showed up and told us that he and the sheriff went to visit her ex and told him to leave, and that didn't work. That man showed up at my store the next day, threatening to sue me for assault. I just smiled at him and told him that in the 10 minutes he was talking, I thought of half a dozen ways to make him disappear. That shut him up, but for a week and a half he kept testing me, testing us. During all that time, Jocelyn was constantly afraid, thinking he might do something to her. Her brother is a forest ranger and warned him to stay away, and the bastard reported him to the supervisor every time I wanted to approach him. Jocelyn begged me not to do it, however. She's my wife, and I needed to protect her, but I told her I wouldn't approach him. Her father soon told me everything about that man, everything he did to her. I told him I was surprised he never eliminated him, and he said that around the time he was seriously thinking about it, her ex ended up breaking his kneecap and left town. He smiled broadly at me, and I couldn't help but smile back. On the 29th, we were preparing for the next Westadaro fair when I received another letter from my cousin. This time I left it on my desk. Marissol approached me asking if it was okay for her to pursue a relationship with Jocelyn's brother, and I said yes, but only if she felt ready. She shrugged, telling me that she didn't know what she wanted but liked him, thought about him and his children a lot. I told her that I wanted her to find happiness, and she started to cry, but it was... Happy tears streamed down my face, and I was happy for her.
My phone rang. It was the sheriff.
Jor's ex and another man were in the hospital. His face was practically disfigured, and the other man had 2 broken eye sockets. I was bracing myself for him to accuse me, but then he told me that my son-in-law had been detained. The sheriff said there were many witnesses who defended my son-in-law. I didn't want to hear this over the phone, so I ran to his office. When I got there, I saw Luna sitting by the reception desk with a terrible black mark on her left cheek. The sheriff came to me and said that according to all the witnesses, Jocelyn's ex-boyfriend deliberately bumped into Roberto as he and Luna were leaving the cafeteria. An argument started, and Roberto tried to calm the situation. Another man appeared and pushed Roberto, and Luna pushed the man and Jocelyn's ex-boyfriend back, causing Jocelyn's ex-boyfriend to hit Luna, and Roberto took both men to the hospital. The sheriff is not pressing charges, but had to inform Roberto's commander after he was released. Roberto had to leave immediately for his 13-hour trip to One Ma. Luna was. Jocelyn is trying to be there for her, but she's blaming herself for the whole situation. Marissol is surprisingly there for both of them, and the icing on the cake came the other day. A woman 6 months pregnant came to my store, asked my name, and when I saw her, she told me she was engaged to my cousin, which completely surprised me. My cousin has leukemia and has been trying to contact me, Luna, and Marissol to make amends. I told her to leave, but she refused. She wanted Luna and me to be tested to see if we are compatible. I'm considering donating bone marrow, and she started crying, telling me she doesn't want the child to grow up without a father. I told her she'd be doing her child a favor. She slapped me, saying my cousin was completely honest with her. She knows everything he did, but she wants him in their child's life. And again, she begged me to take the test. I can practically guarantee I'll be a damn match because it's my damn luck. When I got back to my office, I opened my cousin's letter. I expected to read a plea for mercy to save the child. Instead, his life was a letter confessing everything he did. How he grew up, he admired me, loved me, but when I started rebelling and joined the Latin Kings, he hated me for the pain I caused our grandmother. I took everything for granted, even though I always defended and reprimanded him to ensure he stayed in school. He saw me as a hypocrite because I never followed my own advice. Taking Marissol away from him was the last straw. He didn't expect me to actually try to improve my life. When I was arrested, he saw it as divine intervention and admitted that, despite her saying no, he had to have her for himself. He put in the letter that because of him, the woman he loved was broken. He ruined his daughter and destroyed the only man who loved him unconditionally. He also put in the letter that if his fiancée comes to see me saying he's sick, it's true, he is sick, but he doesn't want me or Muna to do the test. This is the path he chose, and the result will be his. He ended the letter profusely apologizing to all of us. I saw my pastor soon after, pouring out everything, and he ironically compared me to Job. Because of all the biblical stories, I hated the book of Job. My pastor told me that everyone struggles like Job, some more than others, but it teaches us to comfort those who suffer, how we become better people through adversity. This morning, I went to the hospital. The advantage of a small town is that everyone knows everything about everyone without asking. The nurse led me to Jocelyn's ex's room where I waited for him to wake up. He was shocked to see me. I had a conversation with him, and even with my jaw tied shut, he completely understood the kind of person I would become if he crossed paths with my family again. I forgot how easy it was to become someone so dark, and at this moment I'm sitting in the cancer ward just typing this long rant on my phone, thinking about getting tested to see if I'm a match, wondering why we're always tested, why we have to constantly endure, why there must be people who want to ruin everything. This leads us to the end of this story. I feel for the author. I can barely imagine what he felt being betrayed by basically his entire family. The author went through hell, but still managed his sweet revenge. The public defender and Jocelyn are angels in the author's life, and also judge that he truly followed the law and did a fair job. Everyone deserves all the best things in the world. What Luna did was horrible and totally repugnant. Despite her being very young, the author did exactly what should have been done, holding her accountable for her actions and treating her the same way she treated him. Marissol hiding Luna's true paternity for all this time is unforgivable. The author's cousin, for what he did, deserved to be punished all those times. The author had a new life and zero obligation to make peace with his ex-daughter and ex-wife, but he still forgave them. He is truly a good person and deserves all the good things in this life. If you like this video, show your support for the channel by leaving a like and a comment. Thank you for watching until the end.